Hey, podcast people. Sorry, it's been a minute. We had a little bit of an issue at our house, pipe leak that led to a mold infestation, just a damn mess. I was going to record probably a little episode about it later, but anyway, had to step away from the show for a little bit to get those things handled. But back today with a conversation with my friend Sean Mills from Machine Funk. Get a little update about the wrap-up of 2024 with his fall and winter tour. We talked a little bit about the relationship between bands, the venue, and promoters, and what role promoters play in that whole circle of music. I'm really excited to talk to him about his new project, Bears Gone Phishin, which includes himself, Andy Greenberg, Wallace Mullinax, Jennifer Reiser, Bobby Hogg, Wes Powers, and Steven Sandifer. If you haven't checked them out yet, I'll put a couple links in the show notes. They're doing some really cool shit. It's a mashup of Panic, Fish, Grateful Dead. Go check them out, and they're touring as we speak. So definitely go check those guys out. Towards the end of the interview, we just reminisced a little bit about Todd Nance and Bloodkin. He told a couple funny stories in that regard. But I'm glad to be back with you all again. Sorry for the break. So happy to be here. Hope you enjoy the show. Sean, what's going on, man? Last time we talked, I guess it was Avondale, after I had kind of spent a little bit of time with you guys in Athens and then Greenville and Avondale. What's been going on with you?
Man, everything, man. Just living and playing and traveling and having a good time, man. It's just life, you know.
That was a fun little run because I almost want to exclude Athens because it was so fucking hot and your finger was messed up. That was kind of a weird night because it was so goddamn hot. I know you were uncomfortable up there.
Yeah, I had a little problem with a ingrown fingernail thing going on that really kind of got to me in Macon, but I played through it. It was right on my ring finger on my left hand, so I was kind of trying to, I don't know. Anyway, I made it through, and I was able to, I guess John Mayer had some of the same problems not long ago with one finger being out, but I did the best I could and, just kind of pushed through it. It got better in Athens, actually, because I had to perform some surgery with me and my girlfriend in the Airbnb. We had to get on it with the needle a little bit, but all was well, and I was able to get the show done. But the first time we did one of these in Smith's was actually, I was thinking earlier, it was the last show that I stood up.
That's right.
And I have to, I guess I have to mention this, that I said that you asked me about sitting down, I believe.
Yeah.
And I said something about with Bears Gone Phishin, I was going to sit and so basically with some stuff that was going on this summer, I chose to start sitting down. So that was my last standing show at Smith's that night when we did this podcast.
And you were right, because I noticed that guy Cam from Panic Stricken, he sits too. So I apparently I had not been keeping up with some of the other tribute folks.
I stood for 18 years, and which I did, at first we played almost every weekend. So I stood for a long time, but once I sat down, and I mean, I guess some of the same reasons Hauser started sitting down, with all the weight being on one leg all night and creating some health issues, but also just the comfortability of being able to sit and use the volume pedal. And I don't know, it just kind of took it to a different level for me. And I was like, I'm going to do this from now on.
I like it.
So
I like it.
Yeah, so it is what it is. I had to get a chair. I had to get me a comfortable chair. But
I had never been to the outside stage at Avondale. I'd only seen a show upstairs inside. Man, that place is set up with that huge video wall that they've got behind the stage. Les Claypool has come through there, North Mississippi All-Stars, Black Pumas. That place is hitting on all cylinders.
It's legit. That's one of the best places that we've played by far, and it's just a top-notch stage. The Taylor, the owner, she is just amazing. It's just they get it. Some places just get it on how to do live music and have the resources to have, pro stuff. And, when you can put all that together, it just makes for a wonderful experience, and it allows people. It's a dream to play a place like that. They can hold so many people. And we played there New Year's 2020. I think it was our first time ever there during the pandemic and stuff. And so it was already kind of hairy. And I believe we got to about 10 o'clock into the second set, and it just started pouring rain.
Oof.
So the show ended. I remember being in my hotel at midnight when the ball dropped, and I was like, it was a crazy night, So we paid our dues going through there. We've never played inside, but we've done the big stage a few times. And then this last time we went through, we finally had a big one with the big crowd, and everybody was there, and it was just one of those. Sometimes those things just kind of come together.
Right.
And, the shows, it's just a good time. The show's good. And that's this is why I do this, because of these nights.
You and I were talking before that Greenville show, right after y'all did sound check, and we'd had a conversation about something that I think we got interrupted and you didn't have a chance to fully explain to me. You started to talk to me a little bit about, what is the relationship between the promoter and a venue in the band? Did they pay the venue up front and then they recoup their money based on ticket sales and stuff like that? What is that? How does that work?
They're basically throwing the party. They're basically the host of everything. So yeah, they secure the band, they secure the venue. So basically they bring the two together and make it happen, for a small fee. Bill Graham, famous promoters. This guy Phil Kaufman, he was a big one. He wrote the book. But yeah, he'll basically hire us for the gig and guarantee us so much, and our deal will be with him. So our deal wasn't with the venue in Greenville, it was with Patrick. So that's basically what a promoter does.
Does a play?
Like when Panic plays, they probably get like a set fee or something, a guarantee, whatnot, and then whatever's on top of the alcohol sales, merchandise stuff, whatever.
A cut of the door, even?
Who's that? The promoter?
No, the band.
Oh, yeah. They get, I don't know. They might just get a flat fee. I'm not sure how things work on that huge level because
Gotcha.
I'm not really involved in that.
It's a little different, yeah.
There's a lot less zeros where I'm at.
I had a good time at Avondale. It was my birthday, and I ended up getting a little tipsy, not too tipsy, but I had fun.
I will say, let me say this about Patrick and the promoter deal, though. Like, working with a guy like him, it makes it so much easier because he basically puts on, anytime we come to town, we're working with him. So I already know what we're coming into when I deal with him. He's got everything I need when I arrive. I mean, it's almost like he's a good one is almost like a concierge, for the band and the production team and the venue. He makes sure everyone's happy. He just, when you work with somebody who's good like that, it makes a difference, and I've actually enjoyed working with a bunch of people, and Jay Stevens up from Ziggy's up in Winston-Salem, the Triad area. I've worked with him for 20 years. Whatever venue, Ziggy's, he's had a few different Ziggy locations, but wherever he's at, I'm going to go play. He just calls me, and he has different venues. I think Cohab Space is his now, but he's always got good stuff, and I trust him. You know what I mean? And when you get to trust these promoters, you'll go play for them, So that's kind of where that comes into play as far as me just having our people email the venue directly with their talent buyer, which a lot of times that happens, because we're still playing clubs too, but
right.
Some bigger events require promoters and stuff like that. But yeah, it's nice to have a good one. So Patrick's one of the good ones. Y'all need to check him out. Gold Magnolia Productions in Greenville, South Carolina.
Taylor and team over at Avondale, did they do all that stuff themselves, or
she hires the production people, which is the sound people and light people. So I believe she works with a couple different companies, but the stage, obviously that's all them, and they put they have movie night and sports events. It's a great outdoor space. It
really is, yeah.
It's just fun. And she's another person, like when these owners Alex at the Poorhouse in Charleston, these people understand how to take care of people and they make you feel good. And you're like, man, it's a blessing just to be at this place and to get to perform and stuff, and they feed you good. It's just the little things, ice cream machine in the green room, just little things, cold beverages.
Well, you last time we spoke at Smith's, you did a little tease. You were talking about how you and Andy Greenberg from Runaway Jim were going to start up a project. So I went and checked out Bears Gone Phishin, and that's a very cool project and very smart. Like the fact that you are kind of not you as in you, but the band is covering essentially 3 different artists. It expands the audience a little bit. And man, y'all sound really good. I was checking y'all out on Apple Music. I'll drop a little link in the show notes. But how did you meet Andy, and how did y'all give birth to that idea?
It all started in about 1985 in Royal Elementary School. Me and Andy Greenberg were in school together.
Playing pencil break.
A couple of years behind us was a guy named Wallace Mullinax. So it turns out all 3 of us were from Florence, from the same location, and we've known each other our whole lives.
I didn't know I didn't know they were from Florence. Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And we've always talked about getting together and playing because everybody's all traveling. We never had an opportunity. I think we might have did a festival. We did some kind of event. I think it might have been the Jerry Fest thing in Columbia, but all 3 of us were playing, and it just sparked we need to get together. And then this was really Andy's idea. He came to me with it about, hey, thinking about starting this up. He's got couple members of the Reckoning from Charleston, the Wednesday night band down there, and another player from Runaway Jen. Jennifer, the pianist, the keyboardist, she's amazing. And me and Steven from Danger Muffins. So he knows a bunch of cats down there in the Charleston area who've played music for years and who are really amazing musicians. So he kind of put this band together, and I'm just kind of hanging along and having fun with it. we're 2 shows in. We just played in Asheville last weekend at Asheville Music Hall, and it was really good. I was surprised how good it was, actually.
It sounded great.
We've only rehearsed twice, but everybody kind of knows their songs. It's just a matter, I guess, of going over the other ones and getting together. So, but the quality of musicianship and the jamming, it was good. I was very impressed, and I had a good time. And
3 guitar players, or just you and Andy?
Wallace is also a guitar player.
Got it. Okay.
He does the Garcia parts. So basically, everybody sings like I sing the Panic songs. Andy does the Fish, and Wallace. And Bobby, the bass player, Bobby Hogg, is also an excellent vocalist. He sings a bunch of the Grateful Dead songs too, and some of the Fish tunes. So it's just a bunch of killers in a band, really. I mean, everybody plays really well. I noticed that. It's a good vibe. I don't know. I dig it, and I think it's a great combination because, like you said, you got 3 different fan bases. You got people who like all the bands, and if you grew up in the time that I grew up, I consider that the big 3 of jam bands, the Grateful Dead being the top, and then Fish and Widespread Panic in my world, when I was 15 years old until, now, those are the 2 other top jam bands.
You told me on the last episode that your first show, I don't remember the year, but I remember you said it was Walnut Creek, right? When you stole Grandma's guitar, her car.
I didn't steal it. I told her I was going. I borrowed it, and she knew I had it. I just didn't tell her exactly where I was going with it and how late I was going to be out. But yes, it was a 95 Walnut Creek. September, I believe. Colonel Bruce came out and did Love Light at the end, and War opened.
Well, I failed to ask you the first time you saw Fish. Was it before or after Panic?
It was shortly after, in the same year, in 95, which we spoke on that last time, I think. I told you I saw the Dead, Fish, and Panic within like a 6-month time period.
Overdose.
When I was 15 years old, I just got the world was rapidly changing for me. I went from the summer before I was riding a bicycle, playing ball in the neighborhood and doing my last little adolescent summer. And then, the next year I got a car. I'm going to these concerts. I'm going, what are these people, what in the hell is this, On top of the music, just the culture and what's going on in the parking lots. I'm just like, oh man.
Was that?
Yeah, it was quite a time to be alive, really.
Was Fish was that Walnut Creek too?
That was in North Charleston, actually.
Oh, at North Charleston Coliseum.
North Charleston, yes. It was in the fall of 95 when they were playing chess with the audience. I remember that. That was next level too, man. I mean, I'm a Panic guy, and I've run a Panic tribute band for almost 20 years. But I love Fish. I've seen them at least over 50 times. My technical guitar musical abilities can't really go there on some of their material. I'm really not that good of a trained musician, or I don't know a lot. I only know what I know. I don't know if I've been too lazy to go get formally educated or really learn, but I can get in the ballpark of what most people do. But some of Fish's stuff is like, it's too hard for me. I figured that out early on.
We streamed that Dick's run this past last month, and I was into Panic, and it was kind of during this weird time where people were kind of picking sides, but I got into Fish later. But yeah, you're right. It's they do some really intricate.
It's a different vibe, man. Panic hits you right in the heart and the soul, right in. I don't know. It's Fish's thing is more of it's hard to describe. A lot of people get hung up on the lyrics and how a bunch of it seems silly and blah blah blah. Look, I don't think that. I think it's just a different perspective. I think that they're just different fellas, and they're not from the South. And a lot of people they get cut off to that. But me being a musician, I immediately noticed how
for sure
good they were, like their technical playing. And then going to see a band live, and then you're like, oh, and then all that stuff was the cool thing to do. And then, Jerry Garcia passing away, they basically had the torch. They were the next band that people were going to travel around to see, and Widespread Panic, like I said before, was in a close town almost every few weeks to go see. When I was in high school, they were like, Anderson, South Carolina. They played everywhere. Accessible, Myrtle Beach, a bunch of places.
Oh my God, that House of Blues was one of my favorite places to go to see Panic. That was
the first time they went there. That thing was epic, man. It was like that 97 year for them. They really kind of just they went up a few levels as far as just the playing and I think business wise and just it was really nice to see them every year. Every time I saw them, they got better. You know what I mean? They just kept, it was something new and it was just tighter. And I didn't see many bad shows with Panic, you know? I saw that one Columbia dud that was outside and cold, that one Three Rivers Festival.
I was there. That's funny.
But the stage was like downhill, like the crowd was uphill or some crazy shit. It was just a bad setup. I don't think it was a bad show per se, but.
You said something during that last interview that I was going to ask you about. We were talking a little bit about Sam and some other people. You mentioned to me, and I hadn't thought about it until you said it. We were talking about Mikey Sound, and you were telling me that you had to play this kind of hybrid thing because you, in Machine Funk, you're the lead guitarist and the only guitarist, so you're kind of having to play two roles. What I noticed about Bears Gone Phishin, I was going to ask you if this is true. It sounds to me like you are able to dig into those Mikey licks a little bit harder because you've got Andy to kind of to do the rhythm guitar. Are you enjoying that?
I mean, Andy played wonderfully on Driving Song, like he was playing melodies, and even Wallace played like slide parts for Ain't Left Grand, like the John King was doing, like on the album and stuff. It's like the resources are just it's a very deep depth chart with this band. Everybody can play, and it's just I live a few hours away, so getting together to rehearse is the hardest part with these guys, and also having everybody available to go do a gig because everybody plays in other bands, and there's most of these people play music full time. That's their job. So
maybe that's
the headache we're trying to work out is availability and accessibility. I don't know. I think it has big potential to be able to get some wheels and legs, and I've never performed these Grateful Dead songs live, but I know most of them because you gotta learn them. But so it's fun finding my way with, and even the Fish songs. Like I try to step up during the Panic stuff and be in the front with the leads and the stuff like that, and all the stuff that people want to hear. But on these other songs, I gotta find a little spot to fit in, amongst these two other guitar players. So I'm not trying to play what they're playing or step on their licks or their rhythms. So I'm trying to fit in a different spot, which Bob Weir is the ultimate master of that. Mm-hmm. It's all about setting people up to get to do their thing, you know what I mean, and then adding to the groove.
Well, it sounded.
So we're learning to work with that. But I'm telling you, that Asheville show, it's up on YouTube if anybody wants to check it out. But the real dynamic is it. Changing gears like that, going from like China Cat, I think we went China Cat into Climb to Safety. Mm-hmm. Instead of China Cat, Know Your Rider like the Dead would do. We go to the same key as Know Your Rider, which is D, but we dropped into Climb to Safety. But to change that gear like that from the Grateful Dead, like even Panic fans, you gotta love that, because if Panic played China Cat and then the Fish tunes, Andy and Jen, they are the masters of this material. So we just kind of get with them, and they just do their thing. He plays Trey's stuff like...
He sounds good.
He's learned this. He's put his hours in, yes.
Well,
he's a professional. All these people have chops, man. They can play, and they're cool, and they're professional. It's I have only been in two bands, Machine Funk and the Todd Nance and Friends thing I did for a couple of years, but I haven't been in that many bands, so it's different for me. It's to... just be in a new environment and just have to, there's 7 people, it's the non-Fish people.
That Chalkdust into Chilly Water was really cool. And when, to go back to what I was asking you about, you being able to focus a little bit more on that more gritty Mikey stuff, you can hear the growl of you coming in out of Chalkdust. And of course you can hear Andy kind of playing that rhythm up at the top of the neck. It's good.
to go to work again. One night beat the sunrise, now the blonde breeze on my door. I'm gonna wear it to my face. I could have been like me before. Sitting to the bottom of a lonely night, eating out your body, talk to the day night, moves the party moving, moving on the moon, morning crying, red the sunshine. Yeah, it's cool to just hear like what would have, if they had done like a tour together, Fish and Panic, and they sat in, how would it kind of sound,
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I'm thinking when I'm playing Fish stuff or when we're jamming, because Hauser was in and out a lot, there'd be times when he would lay on it and fucking wail for a minute, but then he's back out swooping with some clean picking, or like he described it one time as like painting a picture or something in his mind, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wasn't like I only met him twice, but he's really chill, really cool guy. But a lot of people are really chill and cool when you're meeting fans, because I am too. But they can also be different, different kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
When it's time to run the band and all that stuff, which I learned playing with Todd. I learned a lot of stuff about Widespread. And I was like, man, really?
Well, what's coming up first? I mean, so now you're trying to make, you're doing your solo stuff. Machine
Yes,
Funk.
I'm doing my solo stuff.
And
I'm a
Bears.
full-time musician.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's basically what I do to support my family. I play music, so I travel around doing solo gigs when the bands aren't playing. Machine Funk's only doing, 1 week in a month. We have Jerry Fest coming up in 2 weeks, October the 6th in Columbia at 5 Points. We're going to be doing that. We did that last year. It's a fun time, big crowd.
Okay.
So 2 Columbia shows, and then the next Machine Funk show will be November 23rd at the Asheville Music Hall. That's going to be our last public show of the year, the weekend before Thanksgiving.
I did mark that on the calendar. That'll be fun.
So you'll be able to make that.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Asheville, or if it's always been this way, but Drive By Truckers is coming. Moe's coming. Like there's some really good stuff hitting the Southeast, and thank goodness, because I've been starving. Yeah,
it's fucking insane, man. The traffic and the people. There was so many people there when we played last week. It was insane. It was really jumping, man. And that Asheville Music Hall is right downtown on Patton, and it's just like it's a wonderful place, and the people that own that place are awesome. You know what I mean? It's like
that's cool.
They went out of their way to take care of us last time, just helping us find parking spaces and, stuff like that. Stuff that some people don't do that,
Yeah.
So like when you see that a place cares about, the musicians or getting them in and out, it's cool. Not because musicians like to be babied. You know us, right? Okay, so Bears Gone Phishin. So that's it for Machine Funk. The November 23rd will be the final show of the year for us, and we have a private thing in December down in Folly Beach. So if you get invited to that by the person having the party, then we'll see you then. But if not, the last show is November 23rd. I don't know about New Year's stuff yet. I don't think traditionally we've normally played right before New Year's, before Panic played. So, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So that's Machine Funk. Basically, just has 2 official ticketed shows left: Jerry Fest and Asheville in November. And then Bears Gone Phishin's doing Halloween at the Charleston Poorhouse, which is going to be a Thursday night, which we were anticipating Panic playing in Savannah for Halloween. So now that that's not happening, hopefully we'll get a little more traffic and people will come out and check us out. Green Sky Bluegrass is playing at the Refinery before, but we'll wait till they get done to play or whatever.
That's cool.
But I'm looking forward to playing with those guys again. That might be our last gig of the year. But next year, like I said, there's some stuff in the talks for next year and all that.
Awesome.
So that's about it, man. Just playing and trying to have it organically happen. Like I just try to fill my calendar, really. That's the main. Being a professional musician, that's like, I've always heard people talk about how it's hard to fill the calendar. And then you go, if you ever get any kind of success, it's like you're booked for 2 or 3 years out, you know what I mean?
Well, and you've been playing as, solo and with Machine Funk for a long time. I gotta imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, but this has got to be exciting for you to just be like something new and fresh and different players, right?
Oh yeah, totally. It was definitely new, just the dynamics of it, playing with new people, being in a new environment. With Machine Funk, I'm pretty much, I make the set list and kind of the quarterback / coach,
sure,
if you think of it in a sports thing. But with Bears Gone Phishin, it's almost like we have Andy's he's the organizer as far as, the booker and the handling the business and the promotion stuff. Me and him, we've been writing the set list. It's kind of more of an equal thing since everybody's bringing their own songs to the band, Wallace and those guys with the Dead, which Wes Powers, our drummer, he plays in Soul Driven Train, which those guys have been around for a while. Those big Charleston band, and Steven with Danger Mountain. So these guys, they all have other bands and careers and stuff. Hopefully they're enjoying it as much as I am, because I think it's cool, and I really want to do it more. So I'm excited for the future of it, and just getting to be with Andy and Wallace, those guys that I've known my whole life, and just getting to kind of hang with them in the green room, share a meal. That's also cool, and be relaxed. Normally when you see people in passing, you're at a festival, you're doing something where you're on the go, just being able to kind of be with them. I had dinner with Wallace last week, and it was just cool catching up with him, hearing about his life. And the hang is almost important for certain musicians. It's the more therapeutic thing, getting to be with people and get out of town for a few days, and it helps me come back home and live my life as a single dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Which brings me to my next question. How was so you got to take a little break, go up to Boston? Was it just you and your boy for that?
Yeah, me and my son went to Boston a month ago, and we didn't really go anywhere this summer. I had some health issues going on, so we didn't get to do anything, and I felt bad, so I booked us a little trip to go up and see a Red Sox game. And
that's cool.
Actually, we were going to go to Panic. We were going to go to one night to Panic and then go to the Red Sox game. So I still decided to go, even with no Panic show, because I'd never been to Fenway, and I loved it. It was an awesome place. Game was awesome. The crowd was rocking. People in Boston were nice. I was really impressed with the city. It was clean. It was safe. We stayed at Airbnb. We walked to the park from there, and we stayed a couple days, and then took the train to New York and caught a Yankees game.
Ooh.
On Saturday. My kid, we love baseball. We've always kind of loved baseball and hung around that and done with the Braves games. So we did that and bummed around New York for the night, and then I hopped on the plane back down here, and we had a wonderful time. It was cool, and he's playing football, so we're in the middle of that. It's an everyday practice, till 7 at night,
Busy.
Just kind of handling that and being a dad and trying to play music and trying to keep the lights on at my house, trying to keep the lights on in my heart. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. What I didn't ask you this last time we met at Smith's. I think I was just so into the conversation. But when you're not playing, with your folk, your people or machine or Bears, what are you listening to? Like, what do you listen to music wise? Any music you could turn me on to?
I listen to Joe Rogan every night, and I play my PGA 2K golf game on PlayStation 5 till about 3 in the morning.
I love that game.
I'm online every night, and I normally listen to the day's Joe Rogan podcast. It takes up a lot. I listen to a lot of music, man. I love music. I love James McMurtry. You know him?
No, I don't know him. What's James?
Austin, Texas. James McMurtry. I love him.
Okay.
I love Ray Wiley Hubbard. I love a lot of that Austin, Texas scene stuff. I love Van Morrison. I love Talking Heads. I haven't listened to a lot of Goose. I know this is all leading to you telling me to go see Goose.
No.
I feel it coming. I feel it coming. You've done this before. I have not. Listen, if they were playing and it worked out, I would go see them because I've always heard you got to go check them out live. So I ain't listening to stuff like that. It's not on purpose, but then I also listen to, I still listen to a bunch of Vic Chestnut and Todd's Band Barbecue. I love them. I listen to Bloodkin, I listen to all the OG stuff. I still listen to Widespread Panic sometimes.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Not a whole lot anymore. I listen to the Grateful Dead. In the car, the Fish channel is normally on the satellite radio between Howard Stern and Fish when I'm in the car. Just to be honest. And then when I'm home, I listen to podcasts a lot. I'm a big podcaster.
I am too. I didn't know you were. I didn't know that about you. I that's all I listen to.
I like Mark Maron. I love Mark Maron. I listen to him. I listen to Rogan, Tom Segura and his wife. I love them, which is the Mom's House.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Christina P. I love her. She's funny. So there's only so many hours in the day, but I try to get it in. And I love TV too. I still like to watch my TV and sports and football and,
Are you still doing the golf thing, or are you giving that up for music?
The country club. I worked at the Farms Country Club for over 10 years, but in the last 2 years I left. I've been playing music full time.
Okay, I didn't realize you've been doing it for that long.
So I think I mentioned that in the last podcast, my man.
I know, and you would think being my podcast, I would have gone back and listened.
You think you do your homework. I guess you can, man.
It's funny. I was going to ask you. Well, I wasn't necessarily going to ask as much. I was going to say it out loud. There's been so much music in the Southeast, but it's hotels and Airbnbs are still so expensive that I can barely afford. Like if it's within a few hours, I'll go do it because a couple hours I can turn around, come home after the show or whatever. But fuck it, I'm not paying $400, $500 a night to stay at some hotel or Airbnb. Everything's still really inflated and expensive in that regard. So, but a lot of stuff like Drive-By Truckers are coming. They're playing the 40 watt next month.
Are you asking me about Airbnbs, what we do?
Yeah, what do y'all do?
We get Airbnbs a lot of times, but sometimes we drive the fuck home, you know what I mean? Like, I don't drink anymore. That's a newer thing this last year or so. So I can drive. I'm like, hey, I can just go home and
get
when
in my
you're
bed.
Done with the show, if it's within 2 or 3 hours, I'm amped up enough anyway. I'm going to be up,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you told me.
So I like to come home and end my day.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that, like I said, the hang, like when we went to Birmingham, we got Airbnb, when we go to Macon, we get Airbnb, but it's going to be, $400, but we travel 5 or 6 people. So, it's not that bad. It ends up being less than $100 a man.
That's not bad.
And then, and the other issue is we don't have a van or a trailer and stuff like we used to. We used to all travel together, but now we all kind of meet up at the thing because that's a whole different dynamic when fuel costs money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen, like, we make money, but it's like we ain't doing it for the money. You know what I mean? The money's gotten better. Like, there's been many nights we didn't make any money,
Yeah.
coming up. It's better now, and obviously it's actually been better since COVID. I don't know. Ticket prices have gone up, and I don't know. I guess so has milk and cheese. So
Yeah, no doubt.
it's all relative.
Dude,
But man, it's a blessing to get to do this. That's really what I feel, even though it's stressful and it's hard to stay in a band a long time and deal with personalities. And like I said before, some people got to leave for a while. I've had a lot of people in and out of Machine Funk over the years. Some people have been in and out 2 or 3 different times. It's just, I used to get upset about it at first, and, but it's like, I understand that people get married, people have jobs, and, they all can't travel and do it like maybe I want to do it as more than some other people. So I have to make arrangements so I can keep doing it,
Yeah.
That's really the problem I'm going into the 19th year of this thing, is getting my squad locked in where everybody's available, everybody's willing to do it. It's that's part of it. Just getting to the stage to perform the show. Performing the show is the easy part to me.
Just logistics.
The hard part is, the business end of it, the logistics, the travel, the personalities, and jamming on the tunes is the reward to me, really.
Right.
Once we lock in and everybody's jamming and it's cool, and I love after I've loaded out when I kind of give everybody that last little hug, dap up, holla at you soon. Had a good time. When I get in the car, I feel good. When I get home, I'm like, man, that was good,
Yeah.
I love completing a task, with no problems.
Right. Totally.
I want everybody to get home safe and everybody have a good time who comes to see us, I don't want no conflict. I want to, that's not what this is about. This is about fun and getting away from real life for a little bit, But this is my real life, so go figure.
Well, I'm excited about this new project for you and for all of you, because I'm not kidding. I listened this morning and I was really impressed. I was like, man, how smart is that to have those 3 genres all mixed together and just expand, the audience a bit. I thought it was super clever.
I thought it was a great idea from the beginning. The last show we did, after that show, I was convinced that this thing is going to get better each time we do it, and that everybody has more than enough ability to pull it off with the 3 different, types of material. So I'm looking forward to it too. I think it's going to be fun, and I think it's going to be something for people to come out and really enjoy, even if you're not the greatest Fish fan or the greatest Widespread Panic fan or whatever. I think if you like jam band, guitar, music, were you born between 1980 and 1995? Then come see this. Odds are you're going to dig it, It's good music, playing from the heart. Man, not to get all woo-woo, but, that's the connection to the other side, man, the jamming, the music. You see these people, man, they come and dance, man. They shaking off these demons, man.
That's right.
I'm telling you, there's some kind of vibration thing that taps into the God side or the other side, and a lot of people get it at church from pastors and stuff, but when you feel it when people start really getting into something that's like part of this bigger energy, this collective, I've felt it numerous times,
Me too.
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to do what I can and play as much as possible and enjoy every moment, because who knows how long this is going to last. I also have that attitude too.
Dude, you guys need to come play Athens soon. Those 3 bands. I mean,
there might be some stuff in the works. I'm not really sure because I don't book for Bears Gone Phishin, but
right.
But I definitely want to get to Athens. I love that place. Well, Machine Funk, we played there twice this year already. We did 40 Watt and then the Southern Brewery, Southern Brewing, which was a fun show. It was just hot.
Yeah, it was hot as shit. We were talking about Jerry Joseph earlier. He's coming. He's playing the Nowhere Bar in a couple weeks, which blows me away.
That's a famous spot, man. I've played that place numerous times.
It is. It had a back door that connected to the back door of the Uptown when we used to bar back at the Uptown, and we would slip in there and grab a drink because we couldn't drink on the job.
That's an interesting choice of venue. I'm sure Eric will come sit in with him.
Yeah, I would think
Eric
so.
worked there for a long time.
Oh, that's right.
I remember when I played there and he was working there that night, and I was like, "What? Eric Carter from Bloodkin I was like, "What's up, man?"
That's crazy.
But I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see they're still playing, doing stuff.
Yeah, I need to holler at him. He said we could do the show.
He would be a good one. That guy.
Yeah.
Get ready to talk about Keith Richards and the Rolling Stones.
Is that right?
Those dudes love the Rolling Stones like we love Panic. I mean, there's some huge Stones fans. And his style is even kind of Keithy style, even his singing, you know.
Right.
There's a lot of dynamic going on with Bloodkin, kind of the Mick and Keith thing with Danny and Eric. I've always thought. I
haven't caught them since Betsy and Tori joined. They played in Athens last weekend, but I had the kids and I couldn't make it over there. But
I went to see Panic in '98, maybe at the Coliseum in Winston-Salem, and Bloodkin was playing at Ziggy's across the street afterwards, and I was barely 18 years old. So we went in there, we got into Ziggy's, and the place is fucking packed. Bloodkin's on stage ripping it. Bentley Rhodes playing drums, who's now a good buddy of mine, lives in Augusta. But he's ripping it. So I think I was trying to find a bathroom or something. This was a set break. And I ended up walking into the green room and just busting up in there like at the wrong time.
Oh, shit.
And like, you know, there was I walked in and like looked up and like the record slipped, you know, and I was like, hey, sorry guys, trying to find the bathroom, you know, and they're like, what the fuck are you? You know, get the fuck out of here. Like people covering up and stuff, like, oh my God, I'm about to get fucking stabbed in here. It was awesome. It was, let me tell you, you know, I went to CBGB's one time right before it closed and just think about the shit that went down in that club. You know what I mean? The original Ziggy's was kind of a place like that. I don't know if you ever went there, but the building was amazing. It was like, it had open sides. It was like a big ass shed for part of it down where the stage was. So there was open sides. So it was just cool. And it had, you know, graffiti and stickers and stuff. And just, it had that dive venue kind of place, like 40 Watt.
Mm-hmm.
I think Fish played there. Panic played there. Everybody rolled through there. That guy, Jay Stevens, he's a fucking legend. You ought to try to get him.
Jay Stevens, okay. I used to be scared.
He is a legend.
I used to be so scared of Eric because back in the day, I would go see them at the Georgia bar, and him and Danny would just be playing. They weren't even on a stage. It was like the two of them, Crumpy,
scary people, man.
Brentley, and Eric he'd work his fretboard with a pocket knife, and I was like, I'm not fucking with that guy.
Those dudes were true artists, man. I'll tell you that. A little bit of time I spent in Athens, those fuckers, they live that shit, man. They ain't damn playing golf at the country club, damn drinking Merlot and stuff. You know, they live the songs kind of thing. You know what I mean? I was like, really like, and I think that's what breeds the creativity and the art and, you know, the pre-computer, pre-phone dates.
Mm-hmm.
Things now, man, it's just, you got to find that inspiration. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even if it's from questionable things, it breeds creativity, I feel like.
Those things are still out there. Real life is still out there. You just got to look for it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of distractions nowadays is the problem. Everything's too easy. You know what I mean?
People want to follow your projects. You know, I think folks know where Machine Funk is on social media and Machine Funk.
MachineFunkBand.com.
Mm-hmm.
Do people still go to websites? I don't even know. Machine Funk is on TikTok. We got a TikTok page if anybody wants to check that out. Instagram, Machine Funk Band.
Now,
you know, rock and roll music is still alive, man. You know, people are still out there doing it, and people are enjoying live music, and that's it, man. That's really what I want to wish everybody in Panic. I want to wish them vibes, and like Jimmy, I want him to get better. I want those guys to get back on the road whenever they are able to and play as long as their heart desires, you know?
Yeah, they're almost at 40. They got to cross that line at least.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, just that's what those guys do, too. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. They're like, there's not really a lot of retirement for people like that, man, because that's all those guys have ever known is playing gigs. They are retired as far as they're concerned, as far as, you know, playing every now and then these little runs, you know, when they used to be on the road, you know, 200 nights a year or something crazy like that.
JB was.
But like,
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. What about JB?
I was just gonna say JB was supposed to give a talk at UGA last night with another woman.
About what?
It was, I think, the woman that he was sitting on the panel with was being awarded some type of writing award, and
Oh God.
and David Barbie was going to be the moderator. So of course all of us were
Oh
going,
yeah.
but they had to cancel it because of the weather last night. But
I hope they reschedule.
yeah, me too. Well,
He's kind of out there. He can be out there. Some of the ways he kind of describes stuff and talks. He's a unique guy, man.
yeah.
He's a unique guy, but you know what? He's also a cool, normal, down to earth guy too. You know, I hit golf balls with him on the range one time at his tournament, and he was very normal. You know, he wasn't talking about dreams and space and angels. You know what I mean? We were talking about wedges and normal life.
And he's
It's
pretty.
like Colonel Bruce, man. These guys, man. It's not all professional wrestling, but some of it is. It's not an act, but you know what I mean. Like, there's still normal stuff. You know, Colonel Bruce wasn't on all the time. You know.
And JB's a pretty good golf. He can hit a golf club now.
Apparently, he grew up. I've heard some people say he was involved in junior golf, and you know, he grew up around the game. I think his parents might have played, so he knows his way around. I don't think he's good. Like, I don't think he can break 80 or anything, because you got to play to really be good like that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's enjoyed the game and out on the road and stuff. I would love to be able to go play golf before gigs and stuff. That'd be an amazing life.
No doubt.
Just play golf. You know, I don't know about anybody else in the band playing, but him. I think Buck, the manager, played a lot with him. Or I don't think Todd was much of a golfer. He seemed more like a fisherman than a golfer. Which I want to play some of his stuff. I want to work some of his songs in the Bears Gone Phishin maybe, and like. There's so much stuff I want to do. I want to do some 90s Dead too, like Foolish Heart, Hell in a Bucket, some of that stuff.
What's some of your favorite Todd songs, like from Barbecue and those side projects?
Well, when I played with him, we did that song For One Thing. That's a good barbecue song.
That's a great song, yeah.
Sings. I like a bunch of them. I like Don't Take It Away. I like, I was a big fan of, I think they have 2 or 3 albums. I was a big fan of all their material. There's another guy, William Tonks, who's in that band who sings, which he's amazing too.
Oh, dude,
Athens.
He works at Nucci's part time. I've talked to him a good little bit.
Yeah, he's really good guitar player too. Dobro played a bunch of stuff. That was kind of a super group of Athens guys with John Mills, him. I think John Neff was in that band. Yeah. Crumpy played bass.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Edwards, who I think runs the warehouse for Panic's merch or did for years. So it was basically a bunch of local Athens guys. I saw them live half a dozen times. They did Christmas Jam at the Astro Music Hall one time, and they played in Greenville a few times. I was a big fan of them. They were more like, you know, alternative country-ish. They had JB sit on some tunes, Vic. But I love them. But also, you know, You'll Be Fine. It's probably one of my favorite. Yeah. Everybody loves Down. But You'll Be Fine is probably my favorite Todd song. I think that's the one he put, besides Down, those are the 2, I think, that were the real ones he put a lot of heart into. Which Coach is also a good one, too. I think that was about his stepfather. He told me he had a good stepdad growing up, and I think that song Coach is about that. I was a big fan of his, man. Getting to play with him and do that little tour thing was amazing, man. It was a dream come true. I really wish that he was still around. I wish he was still performing his music, and there was way more than enough room for him to continue that and to have, you know, people celebrate him as an artist. But I was glad I got to spend that time with him, and I know Sam loves him a lot. I was glad that Sam Holt of Outformation, when they did the Remembering Mikey thing, I'm glad that they included Remembering Mikey and Todd.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes, that was cool. And the guys that play with him are cool. Jeremy, Ross. I've met those dudes, and they're wonderful musicians, and they bring a great groove. So Panic's music is still being played, and they got more chapters to write, I believe. You know, I'm hoping that. And
you heard any rumor? You heard anything about Jimmy? I haven't heard a thing.
All I've heard is he's getting stuff taken care of, and the band is just kind of waiting on him, and that's where it's at. You know, I have heard a little bit of Christmas Jam rumors about some of the members possibly performing, but that'll have to come around and probably be announced sooner than later. But I don't know. I guess it's just focused on him getting better, man. You know, and
cancer's a motherfucker.
Stuff. Yeah, I wasn't even going to say the word, but you said the word.
Yeah.
But that's some scary stuff. Hopefully it was detected early and he'll get taken care of. He's still a younger dude. He's just a kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got way, and he's too good of a musician for us to not hear his tasty licks, you know? He's got to get back out there and blow some minds, you know?
I was talking.
That's coming. I predict they'll be back in the springtime. That's just me. Knowing Panic, they're not going to stop. They're going to keep going. They're going to outlive me. I know it.
I was talking to Anne-Marie Jacquard about the Horde Fest days, and I forgot how good those lineups were.
You're interviewing a lot of people in the Panic community who have maybe necessarily not gotten their story out. I learned a lot about Ted Rockwell from your podcast.
I thought that was a good one. Yeah, I liked him.
And in turn, I think anybody who's doing this, I love them.
Yeah.
It's like it's not a competition. It's a celebration of something that saved my life as a young teen.
Amen.
It was something I was able to grab onto, and it's hard to describe, and I don't want to sound too wonky with it, but it really saved me, man. Jerry Garcia, this music, and getting to go to these concerts, and it helped me with whatever battles I was having at home and issues I was having growing up. It wasn't easy. Just and that was something that anybody who covers this music now, I appreciate and I got respect for. So, and it's a community, and I feel like we all are just regional representatives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think we should do a big ass Panic festival one day with every Panic cover band, every Panic act ever, Bloodkin, Sam, us, Panic Stricken.
Outformation.
Let's do like a big, get them back together. Let's do a big festival of all things Widespread one day. It might have to be down the road, but I would love to mix it up with any of these people and hear their take on the material. And I would love to play with Sam Holt.
That'd be
I'd love to give it to him.
Getting all y'all together would be a trip.
Listen, it's a celebration of Panic, the greatest music ever.
That's right.
There should be, I don't take myself too seriously. You know what I mean? Because I have reverence for this music and stuff, and I love to perform it. But I didn't write these songs. You know what I mean? So I try to keep it kind of lighthearted because, it's these people ain't coming to see me. They're coming to hear Chili Water. You know what I mean? I get it. It's not a dig me kind of thing, and I don't want it to be like that. I want it to. Widespread Panic and these songs are the star of this band. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a humble servant who I'm lucky enough. I was a kid that learned these songs and just kind of kept with it, and it turned into something. And I just haven't quit it. I've kept doing it, and now I'm a 44-year-old bald man.
You're so stupid. Hey, you're a good dude, man. I've really enjoyed hanging out with you, and it was real gracious of you.
Thank you. If you see me with some hair plugs, don't say anything in the future because I really want to keep my hair. So
we live in this moment, but we spend most of our lives regretting stuff from the past and worrying about stuff in the future. And not
who would have thought Michael Hauser would be dead at 40 years old?
Man.
Who would have thought that would have just came out of thin air and did that within a year and a half? He didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
That dude was as good as they come. And it seems like good people always get the short end of life.
That fucked me up, man.
It's the bad people and the shitty people that live to be 100. Good people. What Billy Joel say? Only the good die young.
Mm-hmm. I was It wasn't.
My mama was 45 when she died.
Oh, was she really? I'm glad that Panic continued after he passed with Sam and George, but it took me a couple years to get past that because he was the one I loved about the band. I mean, I didn't go to shows for a while just because it kind of fucked me up.
You know what? That's like their biggest commercial. Like they selling out Walnut Creek with George McCall in the band. You know what I mean? That was as big. Right when Hauser died was as big as they ever were. They were huge then as far as, I don't know. George just technically wasn't there. He was a good blues player, but he didn't fit the band, and I felt that they were probably in a rush or forced or something. Some people say, oh, well, Hauser picked him. I don't think that. Hauser probably said, you guys keep playing. I'm not going to be around, so you got to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Knowing him and the things I've heard from Todd, he ain't picked George and said all that. That was something that was probably organically made from George being available, playing with JoJo and Beanland years before. Right. They know him. But, like, his chops were just not there for what you needed, And that's why when Sam started sitting in before George got the boot, people were going crazy because Sam came out with Soldano and the Telly, and he just had the tone, and he was, just kind of in the ballpark ripping stuff, and people were going full. And I'm sure George was like, well, shit. they want to hear that. I mean, that's probably what kind of started, a little bit of the tension there.
I didn't think about that.
Keep bringing out John Keane, bringing out other people. I saw some good shows with George. I think Todd and Schools and everybody had to step their game up a lot more when George in the band. Like, they seemed to play a lot harder. I mean, I saw George at Madison Square Garden on Halloween with Panic, and I also saw George McConnell play at Appalandi's at my local bar 2 years later,
Oh, shit.
or 3 years later.
That's wild.
So he stepped in. A lot of people said there'd be no Panic without him. Maybe, I don't know. They probably could have got somebody else. I mean, the last thing they want to do is put Sam or me or a Hauser clone. I get it. Their whole thing is they want to be organic and forge ahead with new stuff.
Do you ever
they don't want a Hauser guy.
Do you ever sit there and think, because they did write some good songs while he was there. Like, I do like Second Skin and some of that stuff, but it makes me wonder.
I love his songs.
I do too.
Aretha.
I do too.
I loved was that Nicotina song? I like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Song of Sitar, whatever it was called. I figured he wasn't going anywhere. I was like, I better get on board with this guy. This is still my favorite band. I love them. Ball was a good album.
That was a good album, yeah.
But man, his tone, man, when he played live, he was very muddy. The amp he was using wouldn't be the best choice for what I would say the lead guitar for Panic. His wah-wah pedal, he really laid heavy. Just some of the stuff he did was machine gun stuff, and it was cool, but the psychedelic part, I don't know. I don't want to bash him. He's probably a better musician than me, And the thing is no matter how good you think Sam is or me, or nobody's going to get up there and do it like Hauser did it. Nobody's going to have the cadence or just the stage presence that he had. I'm not like him. I'm not a shy, meek guy, it's just like everything that came with him embodied his songs and his personality. Like, he spoke kind of like he sang,
That's right.
His voice sounded like his songs. So, I mean, he's a one-of-a-kind guy. Even though we can replicate and play his songs, it's not going to be something where JB's not going to dig walking over to me,
right?
That's like a shtick, It's like a vaudeville thing. If you put somebody in that spot, it's not Siegfried and Roy kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I understand why to go with a new guy. And Jimmy, when he got in the band, I was like, well, this is the best guy they're going to get to do this for writing new material. And I dig it. I dug it until when Todd left and Dwayne joined the band. That's kind of when I was just like, I can't really get into this anymore.
Right.
Which I like him. He's a great drummer. I don't want to knock him at all, but the Panic material, I'm so used to hearing Todd and the way he would play it and some of the driving beats and the jamming and Dwayne just, I don't know.
Well, ever since you said that it took on a Allman Brothers vibe with the like a chicka chow chow chicka chow chow.
Everything now sounds like
that's all I hear now when I listen to it.
It all has this like, well, that's his family, that's how he plays. But with Jimmy and him, it just takes. Todd was the last of the sound, man. I'm telling you, Jimmy's still singing the songs, but when you think of Panic and you think of like the Takeout, that's Todd Nance and Michael Hauser all day.
Mm-hmm.
Just or the 16th beat in Arlene or Fishwater. Just so much of the signature sound was those fellas, and them not being around. I get it. They got to do what they got to do to keep going, because there's people going, y'all can't stop, You got to keep playing,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people whose jobs are working for Panic, and they, that's the other thing. When you get to be old, you're like, I got these people that make the salaries for us playing in bands.
Depend on us, yeah.
Stop. Yeah, there's got to be pressure for that. That's part of the Garcia thing. There was people leaning on him hard, like they said that he was like, they were like, is he going to make it this tour? Is he going to be good to go? There was like always a game time decision with Garcia, like that people were just like,
oof.
And he, they should have gave that motherfucker a couple of years off, man. Give him a year off.
Yeah.
Who cares, Let him live. I mean, he could have told people I need to take a year off,
Yeah. Well,
you just can't be that old, you know what I mean, doing them things. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, you told me that last time we talked. It was trade off. You got to give up something.
You have to trade. You got to trade off, man. You got to trade off with the reefer, man. If you want to keep going, you got to give him a little gift every now and then so he'll leave you alone. You got to give him up. Here you go. Here's my stuff. Well, come back in a few years. Well, I've enjoyed these
Yeah, man.
podcasts, and I appreciate you coming to our shows and helping out. It really means a lot.
Well, good to talk to you again, my friend. And I'll touch base with you before Asheville. We'll definitely be up there for that, and hopefully, maybe Charleston for Halloween. I gotta look at the calendar, but I'm really excited about this Bears project because there's something there. I'm excited about that for you.
Yeah, man. I hope to see you soon, brother. Appreciate you, and thank you for everything.
All right, man. Have a great night.
By now you think I'd show all the things I should.